So, another year, another iPhone. And you know what that means? The big question is back. Is it time to upgrade? Today, we're putting the iPhone 16 and the brand new iPhone 17 right next to each other. We're going to skip the marketing hype, dig right into the specs, and find out what's really different and if those differences actually matter to you. All right, so here's how we're going to break it down. First up, we'll cover the look and feel, design and color. Then we'll talk about that new display, and trust me, it's a big one. After that, we'll dive into performance, check out the camera upgrades, and wrap it all up with a final side-by-side showdown. Okay, let's get into it. First impressions are everything, right? So we're talking about what you see and feel the second you pick it up. The design, the weight, and yeah, those new colors. At first glance, you might think not much has changed. They've got that same classic iPhone look. But if you look closely, the iPhone 17 on the right is just a little different in its dimensions. And that subtle change actually makes a big difference for the screen, but we'll get to that in just a sec. Okay, so here are the actual numbers. The iPhone 17 bumps the screen up to 6.3 inches. That's up from 6.1 on the 16. And with that, it's put on a little weight, about 7 grams. Now, that's not a ton, but it's the kind of difference you'd probably notice more in a tight pocket than just holding it in your hand. And let's talk colors, because that's a pretty big change this year. Apple's gone for a more toned-down vibe with the iPhone 17. You've got options like mist blue and sage, which is a definite shift away from some of those brighter, poppier colors like teal and pink we saw with the iPhone 16. All right, let's move on to the display. And honestly, for a lot of people, this is going to be the reason to upgrade. It's one of those things you'll notice literally every single time you use your phone. So to really get why this is such a big deal, we have to talk about something called promotion. See, it's not just about making the screen faster, it's about making it smarter. It can crank all the way up to 120 hertz when you're scrolling or gaming, which looks incredibly smooth. But then, if you're just looking at a photo, it slows way down to save battery. It is a total game changer for how the phone feels to use. And that brings us to the head-to-head comparison right here. The iPhone 16 stuck at a standard 60 hertz. The iPhone 17, it doubles that with 120 hertz ProMotion. And get this, the brightness goes up to a crazy 3,000 nits. So what does that mean for you? Well, it means you can actually see your screen outside on a super sunny day. No more squinting. And this really shows you what that feels like. Every little swipe, every scroll, it just feels so much more responsive, almost like the screen is connected directly to your finger. I'm telling you, once you get used to a 120 hertz display, going back to 60 feels, it's tough. Okay, so the screen feels faster, but what about the engine powering it? Let's pop the hood and see if this thing is actually more powerful. No surprise here, the iPhone 17 comes with a brand new A-series chip. Now, the key thing to know is that its main cores are clocked faster. We're talking 4.26 gigahertz compared to about 4.04 on the 16. In plain English, apps open faster and the phone has more power in reserve so it won't choke when you're doing heavy stuff, like editing photos or playing intense games. But hey, don't just take my word for it. The numbers speak for themselves. Look at this. The iPhone 17 blows past 2.1 million on the Antutu benchmark. The iPhone 16 was at 1.7 million. I mean, this chart just lays it all out. That is a huge jump in raw power. Let's be real. For most of us, our phone is our camera. And while the main camera on the back might look pretty familiar, the iPhone 17 brings some really big upgrades in some key places, especially for all you selfie takers out there. So that main 48-megapixel camera on the back, it's still a total beast, just like it was on the iPhone 16. It seems like this year Apple decided to pour its energy into upgrading the other cameras in the system. And this little table shows you exactly what I mean. First, the selfie camera gets a huge jump in resolution, from 12 up to 18 megapixels. Then you've got the ultra-wide, which gets a wider aperture. All that f-stop jargon just means it lets in more light. The result? Much better photos when you're in a dimly lit room or out at night. So here's the bottom line on that. With an 18-megapixel front camera, you can actually crop in on your selfies and they'll still look sharp. Plus, your video calls are going to look way clearer. If you use that front camera a lot, this is a seriously big deal. Okay, we've covered a lot of ground. Design, the screen, what's under the hood, and the cameras. So now, let's put it all together. It's time for the final showdown, a side-by-side look at everything that matters. And boom, here it is, the whole story in one simple chart. You've got the bigger, way smoother screen on the 17, a clear win on performance, and that much better selfie camera. But don't miss the last two lines here. The battery is a bit bigger, which should get you about an extra hour of watching videos, and this is a big one, the base storage is now doubled to 256 gigs. That means way less of that awful storage full message. So look, the iPhone 17 isn't some crazy radical redesign, but the upgrades it has are really smart, and they're in the places you'll actually notice and use every single day. And that kind of makes you wonder, right? As these phones get better and better, maybe the future isn't about some massive revolution anymore. Maybe it's about perfecting what already works. Definitely something to chew on.